I rise, Mr. Speaker, to make my contribution to the debate on Budget 2022, which was presented to this National Assembly under the theme, Steadfast Against All Challenges, Resolute in Building Our One Guyana. Mr. Speaker, I want to join with my colleagues in offering congratulations to the Senior Minister with responsibility for finance in the Office of the President, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh, and his team for an excellent job done in presenting another historic budget to this House. This is by far the largest budget presented by the People's Progressive Party civic government to date. The budget, which totals $552.9 billion, is geared at tackling the transformation of our economy while continuing the growth and development of our citizens. The budget is also geared at creating wealth while leading to tremendous improvements in the livelihoods and standards of living for all Guyanese. It aims to restore the confidence in our economy through this government's massive investment in our infrastructure, health, education, tourism, agriculture, security, housing, and other sectors. Budget 2022 is fresh, innovative, and bold in its focus. It is a people-centered and community-oriented. Mr. Speaker, I need to rebuff the Honorable Member Ganesh Bahaipal, who has no moral authority to come to this House to lecture us on accountability and transparency. It was you, the Honorable Member, who misused funds from the young people at the University of Guyana. And you come to this honorable House to lecture to us about accountability and transparency. With regards to the flood relief cash grant, let me say that thousands of farmers throughout this country who received their flood relief cash grant are all happy because today they would have been bankrupt. And I know that when my cabinet colleague, the Minister of Agriculture, when his term comes to speak, he will address that issue comprehensively. Regarding the elections in the local authorities, it was the APNU AFC government. It was the APNU AFC government, Honorable Member. Recall what happened on 2nd of March 2022? Well, let me say to you, sir, when the Elections Commission is properly constituted and they inform us, elections will be held. You spoke about caring for young people. You spoke about APNU AFC caring for young people. What you should have said is what the APNU AFC government did with 1,972 CSOs You all fired those poor Amerindian people. We have restored that. With regards to this budget, let me say to you, honorable member, that every public servant will benefit from 2022 historical budget. And I want to touch now on the regional chairman of Region 4. And you said he wrote many letters. And I know since the 26th of January, you all have had problems with 3 letters. And that will haunt the AFC government and APNU for the rest of your lives. Not very many of you long from now will be in this house. Those letters are NRF. And believe you me, none of you will get a chance to touch those monies. Those monies belong to the people of this country, and they will benefit from it. Mr. Speaker, I am sure the opposition APNU AFC parliamentarians are taking notes this afternoon from the sterling presentation of this government on how to devise a budget with good policies and plans for tomorrow, today. We on this side of the House believe that our future begins now, today. The opposition, APNU AFC, must be ashamed of themselves when they see what is real growth and development that would take place right before their eyes. They were in office for close to 2.5 years and could not understand the job they were mandated to do. They spend the valuable time playing nasty politics, stealing from the treasury to enrich themselves, and instituting taxes on the poorest of the poor people of this country. When Guyanese thought that Granger administration had some amount of shame and pride left, they attempted to steal the elections. They attempted to steal the elections through the individuals which are now before the courts. Guyanese said never again on March 2nd and elected this government, the PPPC government, to office. As seen in Budget 2022, we understood the assignment given by the Guyanese public, and in just short 18 months, Guyana is on the move once again. Here are some of the measures that will be implemented this year. Increase in the tax threshold from $65,000 to $75,000. Putting back over $1.3 billion in the hands of the ordinary Guyanese people. Pensioners are to receive an increase from $25,000 to $28,000 in addition to the electricity and water subsidies which they are going to continue to benefit from. This is, of course, in addition to the one-off cash grant of $25,000 which they already received. This move will inject more than $2.3 billion in the hands of the pensioners. Mr. Speaker, The APNU AFC barely acknowledged our pensioners while they were in office, giving them a partial, meager sum and taking away the subsidies. School children will benefit from an increase, as we promised, in the uniform allowance, which is now 5,000, and because we care cash grant, which will now be $25,000, up from $15,000. This is an injection of $2 billion, Mr. Speaker. Not to mention the reduced taxes on freight, VAT, and machinery. Parity in the tax treatment for local content, low-income mortgages, loan ceiling. Increasing the monthly public assistance payment from $12,000 to $14,000, benefiting 18,000 persons and providing an additional $432 million in disposable income to these individuals. Farmers market at the East Bank of Berbice, East Bank of Demerara, East Coast of Demerara, West Coast of Demerara, and Georgetown will be held. Supporting dialysis patients, $600,000 per patient per year. Supporting and insensitizing the banking system, $5 billion in cost of living support, and the list goes on. Mr. Speaker, this is purposeful spending. This move is called prudent financial management, not like what the APNU AFC coalition did in office by buying a few gold bracelets and gifts for their ministers while throwing a few crumbs to the people. Everyone will benefit from our spending. It is our intention, Mr. Speaker, to build a rich country with rich people. We are striving to live an even better and progressive life under this government. The opposition APNU AFC cannot admit, but it shall pay for it sooner or later. This, like I said earlier, is a purposeful budget. Mr. Speaker, coming closer to home, this year we have made an allotment of $5 billion to be spent on community infrastructure improvement project that will be launched in 2022. Mr. Speaker, $740 million is budgeted this year for ensuring that all LDOs receive their grants from the government. But they will have to manage their resources prudently and transparently. They must be accountable for every dollar spent, thereby improving services to our people. This year, we are sending a strong message to all underperforming NDCs and municipalities, including the Georgetown Mayor and City Council. You either shape up or face the stringent consequences. NDCs and municipalities can no longer afford to play with our people's livelihoods at the community level. NDCs must ensure their environment is kept clean and there is not a buildup of solid waste. Mr. Speaker, this government is open to working with you and teaming up for the purpose of keeping our town councils, communities, and the cleaning of areas throughout Guyana started with His Excellency's cleanup initiative. Mr. Speaker, I am calling on the mayor to end his playing of politics at the council in Georgetown. The city council is in that state because of countless PNC, APNU, AFC mayors having undermining the bond that existed with central government. They are begging for more money and resources when they have not shown their testicular ability to manage the funds they get from the residents in Georgetown. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying the city rakes in more than $2 billion annually. Where is the money going? Because we are assisting, and when I say we, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, assisting the city with the maintenance of roads and bridges, as well as drainage and irrigation. They are squandering the residents' money. The mayor should not become trigger happy, but should be focused on pulling the trigger in the council. Stop procrastinating, Mr. Mayor, and get the job done. Last year,
Honorable Minister, the mayor is not here to defend himself, so we'll have to expunge that part. And if you're going to refer to other persons who are not here to defend themselves, I would ask you refrain.
Mr. Speaker, last year, the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration spent $779.6 million on the Georgetown enhancement, cleaning, and sprucing up of the capital. In 2022, $399.5 million will be spent to continue this enhancement project. This is direct assistance from the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. Mr. Speaker, this year, $28 million will be spent on the Monrepo Market Phase 2 after spending approximately $33.5 million in 2021. Similarly, rehabilitation to the Parika market will continue this year with the aim of completing this multi-phase project in order to have a modern commercial and sanitary facility. Mr. Speaker, additionally, we will continue to support the upgrading and enhancement of the famous and popular Parika and Monrepo Markets Phase 2 and 3 at a cost of $250 million. Markets will expand commercial access for farmers and easy access and convenience for residents, thereby creating greater income and employment for thousands of youths and adults. The residents, vendors, and customers stand to benefit from the marked improvement occurring at the marketplace. We will create jobs while fixing our problems. Unlike the APNU AFC that lock themselves away behind closed doors and live like fat cats. This demonstrates our purposeful spending that will benefit the customers, the consumers, as stipulated in our manifesto. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2022 has also catered for the construction of the access road to Blairmont Waste Management Facility, Phase 1 at a cost of $135.2 million. Mr. Speaker, this year we will see the rehabilitation of Rosal Municipal Landfill Access Road at a cost of $55 million. We will upgrade the existing disposal landfill sites at Corriverton, Number Knott, St. Ignatius, Ishalton, Matthews Ridge, Legwan, and Wakenham. This comes at a cost of approximately $90 million. Residents will see new landfill sites at Mabaruma, Kakwani, and Madia for the very first time. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali-led PPPC administration has accomplished far more in enhancing the quality of life for the people at the local and regional levels than the previous regime. The benefits will have a binding effect on the APNU AFC politicians, providing services that matter. Mr. Speaker, the PPPC administration does not discriminate when it comes to our people on the basis of political, social, religious, race, and gender. This is for all Guyana to benefit. Mr. Speaker, some projects that will commence in Region 10 are as follows: rehabilitation of bridge at Sand Hill, Burbis River, construction of First Street Road, South Amelia's Ward, upgrading of Fairweather Road at Orinoc, Retrieve, and Ituni Crossman Avenue, upgrading of Wisma Hill Four Corner entrance, completion of Amila's Ward Bamia Primary Schools, construction and extension of Hururu and Moritaro Health Centers, construction of a health post at Falls Mouth, and the list goes on and on. Mr. Speaker, the APNO AFC is trying to pull wool, maybe pig skin, over the eyes of the Guyanese with the banter that the budget is not going to transform their lives. I call it how I see it. I call it bluffing because from their presentations so far, I have seen and heard, they could not have read the budget and comprehended the language. They're coming here to kerfuffle us with sheer ignorance, deceitfulness, and political buffoonery. Mr. Speaker, this year the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development will be working assiduously to foster strong local and regional interest in one Guyana. The PPPC administration will foster the process of community participation in all of our projects, so the lives of thousands of our communities will be improved. We want to build stronger communities and safer homes, recognizing that the health of our people, which is our wealth, Budget 2022 responds. At Region 9, as an example, we will see complete rehabilitation of Ishalton Hospital maternal wards, complete rehabilitation of Anai Hospital, and the rehabilitation of Achiwib, Rukumota, Parabara, and Karasabai health posts. This is occurring in each administrative region that will be transformed at a rapid pace, and this People's Progressive Party civic government is spearheading the effort and putting the pieces together that the APNU AFC failed to address while they were in their slumber in office. Mr. Speaker, the APNU AFC opposition had 2.5 years to recognize that their communities are not like a buffet where you could go and pick and choose. Turning the focus to our children, education is seen as lasting and more valuable, and we recognize that a child cannot learn on a hungry stomach. Mr. Speaker, this paves the way for the school feeding initiative because silver and gold may vanish away, but a sound education will never decay. I want to make mention to David that his bracelet will vanish away. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development in Budget 2022 will assist with the rehabilitation of Bushlot Secondary School, the extension of Waterloo Nursery School, and Rosignol, Blairmont, and number 8 primary schools. We will focus our attention on the extension of Linden Foundation Secondary and Moritaro Primary. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development will continue to focus on capacity building in each LDO and municipalities. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2022 has won the support of stakeholders inclusive of GMSA, the Private Sector Commission, FITUG, the Guyana Oil and Gas Energy Chamber, and many others are coming on board to support. This is a progressive budget that will see the development of an equitable society for all Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, I consider it a privilege and honor to serve in a government that connects with the people's hearts and continue to strive in delivering and strengthening the services provided at local and regional levels. Mr. Speaker, the PPPC administration boldly urges the opposition to wake up and don't be left behind. They are already fighting and bickering amongst themselves for jobs and posts. One honorable member was forced to give up the opposition leader post in shame and with a lowered head. The honorable member was dehumanized.
Honorable member, I will expunge shame.
The honorable member was dehumanized, punished, and surrendered after a long, hard fight. You see, Mr. Speaker, the race is not for the swift or fast, but for those who can endure it to the end. So I have to compel and reason with you. Just join us and support Budget 2022, which is a remarkable piece of fiscal policy that will change Guyana's future. Mr. Speaker, I'm optimistic that good sense will prevail and Budget 2022 will become a reality. On January 26th, it was a peaceful day, a progressive day, and this is a prosperous budget. And I commend it to this honorable House, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for